Good morning, everyone. I'm Rob Champa. For those of you who've been involved in SAMI, you'll see me, Pam, and the others that we'll introduce in just a couple of minutes. But we've got an exciting session today. It's called Beyond Google Search, How LLMs Are Redefining Customer Engagement. This is going to be a terrific session. Pam will go into the details of that in just a minute. But every so often, there is a sea change in the industry. And this is not just a sea change, it's a tidal wave. And we are honored to have some great speakers here today, and they'll be going through a lot of the concepts of what's coming next. Pam, I'm going to turn it over to you so we can kick off this fabulous session.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. I'm really thrilled to bring you guys a session today. I first heard Mike speak on an online session back in March that was hosted by the AI Blueprint for Massachusetts initiative, which if you don't know that, hit me up and I'll fill you in. So I've been chatting with Mike over the summer and I said, hey, we have this great group of sales and marketing leaders. Would you like to come and join us for a session? And he very kindly not only said yes, but brought along his co-founder and also another resource. So let me just do a brief introduction to Mike and Jarvis, and then I'm going to hand it over to them. And so Jarvis Bowers, I'll introduce Jarvis first. He's a CEO and co-founder of Revere, which is an emerging marketing technology company focused on elevating brands with LLMs and generative AI. And Jarvis is an experienced marketing leader, and he has focused on the use of consumer and creative insights, customer data, and emerging platforms for unique brand experiences. And check Jarvis's LinkedIn out. He has been involved with a number of household names. And then Mike is so Jarvis, want to wave to us there? There we go.
Morning,
there we
everyone.
go. Yep. It's not, Jarvis is on the West Coast, so he gets extra credit for getting up early and joining us today. As well as Mike. Mike Ensing is the CEO and co-founder of Revere, and he's an entrepreneur, an advisor, tech industry executive, focusing on this Gen AI space. He's also had extremely impressive career history with Real Networks and Microsoft and McKinsey. So again, Mike and Jarvis, thank you for getting up early, joining us from Seattle, where it is 5 a.m. And Mike, you wanted to bring along a bonus expert, Bart Kolowitz. So I'll hand it over to you to introduce Bart.
You bet. I certainly did. Actually, I want to introduce Bart Gorlitz, head of Onely and ZipTie. Our company, Revere, has been tremendously fortunate to be able to partner with Onely over the last 6 months. We're going to talk a lot about large language model optimization, and we firmly believe that Bart and his firm are one of the true leaders in the space. He was doing it before even the name was coined. So terrific to have him here. Thank you for joining us, Bart.
Thank you so much, folks. Cheers from Austin, Texas. And if you have any difficult questions, hit me up today. Don't hold back.
That's great. All right, Mike. So let's hand it over to you. I think you've got a handful of slides for us, as Rob said, and as always, feel free to throw anything in the chat. I will do my best to bring those questions in. We're going to keep it a free-flowing conversation, but I know you're going to love what these guys have to say. So, Mike, over to you.
Awesome. So just a little bit quickly around intros and Revere. Jarvis and I formed Revere about a year ago when we actually spotted a massive disruption that's actually occurring today. And that's that LLMs will be the next big influencers of our time, impacting brand views, product opinions, purchase decisions, and the overall customer journey. Bart, you want to go to the next slide a second? So we're going to talk about a couple things today. I am going to talk about the LLM-enabled search disruption, both where it is today, but then also discuss where it's going tomorrow. Jarvis is going to talk about key actions for marketers and sellers, and then Bart is going to make it very, very real around large language model optimization. So to start, what I want to do is just sort of set the landscape of what sort of occurred over the last 24 months. And Rob, you are right. It is moving like a tidal wave. And what we have is LLMs driving knowledge, data, and actually influence through several different channels. So, major LLMs, GPT-4, Gemini, Meta, Claude, and we've actually grouped the channels into 3 main categories. So you have co-pilots like ChatGPT, co-pilots like Claude, like Microsoft Copilot. You also have LLM native search. So Google has gone from Google to SGE, now AI Overviews, newcomer on the block, Perplexity, you have Bing. But then also in the consumer landscape, you actually have LLMs driving productivity apps. So Microsoft has embedded Microsoft Copilot into all their productivity apps. Google's in the process of doing the same with Duet. And what's happened here is we've actually moved out of the age of search into the age of answers. And I'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. If you go to the next page, this is just a real basic example. This is a consumer querying about their Ford Lightning EV truck, going into ChatGPT or another channel, asking, okay, what are the best and worst things about owning a Ford truck? That information is processed by LLMs, responses are given, and then you have marketers and sellers on the other side asking a lot of questions. So one is, which LLMs are most positive and negative about my brand? And then actually what's also starting to occur right now is, how do I optimize and influence how my brand is presented by all these LLMs? These channels are taking significant hold, and these LLMs are starting to impact the overall brand experience. It's happening today in the buying process. You have Google actually making product recommendations. You have Copilot doing buying considerations. It's happening across the board. If you want to go 2 slides up, Bart, we can just skip. I just cover this. What I want to do is actually talk about what are the major changes between the age of search and the age of answers, and they are huge. So one thing is, you think about us, the last 25 years, we've been in this Google environment, very, very simple queries. Now we're moving to conversations that are conversational in nature, using natural language. Actually, the query lengths are getting much, much longer. The overall sessions are getting much longer. People are going through an entire customer journey on these platforms, really fundamentally changing how brands are represented. Blue links going away. And now we have clickless responses. Big impact to organic traffic, though. So Gartner predicts that organic traffic is going to fall by 25% by 2026 and 50% by 2028. You have an environment where Google offered largely homogeneous responses. Well, guess what? LLMs are heterogeneous. They actually respond differently every time. So this actually presents another set of challenges for marketers. And those responses are actually based on personalized information and very, very tailored. These LLMs and channels are going to know so much about the end user and tailor the responses accordingly. We're also going into an environment where the information was web content based. Now we have training data and web content based. And the other thing happening in the market today is that you're getting these content deals set up between the LLMs and content providers, providing exclusive content to those providers. A really good example is the Reddit deal that was done with Google recently. So now you're going to have Google or AI Overviews using Reddit as a primary source. We're moving from ad-funded to free subscription. We're actually moving in an environment where we had great analytics over the last 15 years to basically black boxes. And then finally, the biggest thing is we're moving from one primary platform to multiple platforms with hundreds of LLMs. Any questions or thoughts on that before I go on?
We don't have any questions in the chat quite yet, so why don't
Okay.
you keep going, Mike?
Yeah,
But that's just
so
a great
I'm
introduction, great
tracking.
reminder. Oh, sorry.
I'm tracking questions, Mike. So I'll hit you up if there's something.
Okay,
So
great.
you can
awesome.
focus on the
Thank you.
slides.
Yeah. For any of you that are skeptical around this disruption, I put this slide together. This just shows basically $1 trillion investment plus around this ecosystem. And you have the tech titans like Google, Microsoft, Apple. You have new kids on the block like OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity. Google had the hiccups with AI overviews, pulled it back. They will get this right. They have 200 billion of revenue, ad revenue at stake. Microsoft is baking this into everything. Apple, it's going to be very interesting with the Siri OpenAI integration that they just agreed to, and the rollout of Apple Intelligence. And I think what makes Apple special is the incredible mobile platform and user base that they have. It's going to be truly revolutionary.
Hey, Mike, this is Rob. One
Yeah.
question for you.
Yeah.
One of the things that comes up frequently is people say, well, I used AI and I didn't like the answers. I think people don't understand that the answers you get from all these systems change on a daily basis. Do you want to
Yes.
just address that quickly?
Well, they change on a daily basis, and they're going to get hugely better through time. I mean, we're on like V01 in the LLM era, right? And I don't know if you guys have tried OpenAI Omega 1 that came out 3 days ago, but it is truly amazing around reasoning. And these LLMs have been in sort of hit main market over the last 24 months. Imagine where they're going to be in the next 24 months. So they're just going to get a lot better.
And if I may just add something to this, Rob, because first of all, the AI doesn't change as much. It's more of the retrieval of the information, because all of them rely on search retrieval either from Bing or Google. So if you know how to tackle that and what to optimize, and Mike will get to that as well, sometimes you need to change one URL and you can change the whole brand's perception. And that's Mike's tool, actually, what it does. But secondly, I just wanted to, sorry, Mike, to kind of jump in on this slide, but we already see a segmentation here. So we see if you're in wedding space, people will use Perplexity with Reddit, and Perplexity does searches within Reddit and ChatGPT, and 40% of people planning the wedding, that mostly through these two platforms. They don't touch Google. When it comes to products, it's Perplexity with Reddit and Amazon. So, we already see a lot of segmentations, and that could be a whole other presentation, but it will see that for a lot of different things, we'll basically go to different LLMs, and what Mike gathered here is just showing that very nicely, I think.
Yeah, Bart, you just to quote you back, they don't, you said a bunch of them don't touch Google. That's important for everybody on this. Everybody on this call are probably making huge investments in traditional SEO, and that's why your whole topic is spot on. Thank you.
Then if that's just to touch on, Perplexity is Google basically. So Perplexity is 100% Google search, the base at this stage. So even though they make fun of Google and Jeff Bezos is just roasting them heavily, it's still using 90% of, actually 100% of Google searches. So search is still going to be there. So like Google and Bing will still be very important because they don't have databases at OpenAI or at these other LLMs, but it's a different way of searching. It's not query based. But yeah, Mike will cover that. Sorry, let's go.
That's good. A lot of people ask me who are going to be the winners in this space. I have no idea. I know that Google has everything to lose here and they'll get it right. But one of the things I want to talk about is where it's going, because it's a little bit mind-blowing around where this all is going. And actually, we saw where this is going about 10 years ago. Do you want to play this video, Bart, around where it's going? So that was Iron Man and that was Jarvis. It's not lost on us that we have our own Jarvis as well. But
he's barely up, by the way.
What you saw is Jarvis as an agent, and you saw Iron Man interacting with that agent through voice, real time, incredible natural language, with Jarvis actually executing activities on behalf of Iron Man. And what's going to happen here is we're actually going to move from the age of answers to the age of agents. And then this will have another set of huge implications for sellers or marketers. So I believe that this is going to happen relatively quickly, i.e. over the next 10 years. And it's already happening today, if you think about it. So people utilize autonomous driving. So AI is making life impacting decisions on behalf of their drivers, programmatic trading, financial decisions, reorder of buying of products. And, how is this going to happen? It's going to be a natural extension of some of the tools that we use today, like Alexa and ChatGPT. There are also a whole myriad of agents that are going to be developed, customer and business-focused agents. I actually saw this morning a report from PitchBook. There are over 200 companies right now focused on creating agents. What you're also going to happen is you're going to have these agents linking up to personal co-pilots that we all trust to execute activities like buying, like booking travel, anything a consumer wants. I truly believe that the enabling technology around this will be voice, as in the video that you just saw. I don't know if everybody on this call has tried ChatGPT on their iPhone. If you haven't, interact with it verbally. It is truly incredible. And it will give you just a really good feel for where this is all going. What are the implications of that? Marketers are going to have to market to agents. And then secondly, marketers and sellers may have to actually develop their own agents to communicate with agents. So it will be truly, truly revolutionary. So,
hey, Mike, maybe we can, when you're done with this section, I've got a few questions that have popped in, and maybe we can run through those real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's take those.
Okay. We've got Katie asked, if there are no metrics, what can marketers do? Which is a very big question. If you're going to get to that, we can also pump that question, but I just want to kind of cover that one with you.
Yeah, so thank you for the question. So we actually believe at Revere that a new set of metrics are needed around LLMs and brand representation. And you'll see a lot of companies define these. We've actually defined a couple at Revere. One of those is the Revere Brand Index score, and that's a measure of one is the overall sentiment of LLMs that they have around brands, and then also a measurement of the overall rank and reach that a brand has in the LLM environment. You're also going to get to things like signal strength, or the frequency that brands are represented, or positive and negative attributes. And so you're going to see an entirely new set of metrics basically in this environment.
Great.
If I may add to this one, also looking at the metrics, they shifted from quantitative to also looking into where the customers in the journey was the sentiment of the answer. So we're not looking at the technical SEO metrics that I've tracked for my last 15 years, but we're looking into a lot of metrics related to psychology, to something a bit different than what we used to, because we measure answers and not just rankings and content. So that's going to be exciting to see how it's all going to evolve. And Mike here also builds his own set of metrics that is quite exciting.
I think for those of us who are sales and marketing leaders, we're going to need to be on the forefront of that, right? Because we've been, portraying certain metrics. So we need to maybe stop perpetuating these metrics that are going to mean less in this world and start making a pivot so that we're hinting towards these future metrics as well, to the senior level people who don't understand marketing quite as well as we do, but are looking at things like revenue and pipeline.
Yeah,
I think just to add on that, I think the traditional marketing conversion funnel which we've all sort of trained on over the last 20 years, which is premised on referred traffic to Google, and then you go through the conversion funnel. That's going to change. I mean, I think we all know that it's not linear, that the customer journey isn't linear. It tends to be circuitous, but it's going to be more important now in these LLM experiences where it's going to be much more of a consultative sale within the LLM, that we have to understand different paths, different triggers, different conversations, and how that flows through to a result. I think that's the big change. I mean, we've been in search of one-to-one marketing for as long as I can remember, and with these much more conversational consultative agents, it's going to be here in front of us, and now we have to adapt to how we operate within them.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, great. Couple of other questions. I'm just going to do these kind of quick fires. We'll make sure we don't get too far behind on the questions. Will is asking about data privacy. Seems like we're shutting down a lot of third-party data.
I can take that. So looking at ChatGPT, for example, and I'm connecting to Will's second question on scraping. So looking at ChatGPT, go to search ChatGPT and search for news from New York Times. You won't find them. 83% of publishers block ChatGPT. So if you look at that, we already see that as an aspect of a lot of publishers closing them down from what they think is scraping by ChatGPT, not knowing that they have a user agent for scraping and user agent for search, and they block both. So if you do that, that's one of the challenges. 83% of publishers in the US block ChatGPT. 7% out of the ones that don't block have a licensing deal with them. So there are a lot of nuances now. Perplexity is breaking all of these rules because they buy data from third-party scrapers. So Perplexity will show you New York Times data, even though New York Times in robots has said, we're going to sue you if you use any of that. So it's I won't go too deep into that. I'm happy to have a one-on-one session with someone who wants to geek out. But this topic is something that we've been researching in our R&D for a few months. I still think Google is on the forefront, but that's just to close, is what I believe that ChatGPT is doing with SearchGPT. I think they want to force publishers, because one thing that publishers can never resist is free traffic nowadays. So I think this is ChatGPT's play to open up websites that mostly block ChatGPT. So ChatGPT search is just very, very limited nowadays.
Okay, great. We've got some other questions about what tools you're using to measure AI brand metrics. You might get to that. I want to make sure we've got plenty of time to get back. So I think those are the major questions that we have kind of in the queue. So yeah, I'll hand it back to you, Mike.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about one tool, which is Brand Luminaire, which we're bringing to the market in fourth quarter here. So.
Right.
So just to close off on my section, we're moving from age of search, age of answers, to age of agents. One call out on just a great information resource around age of agents. Jeremy Wang of Blitzscaling Ventures, true leader in this space. I encourage you guys to all follow him. Lots of great thinking. So with that, Jarvis, you want to take us through key questions?
Sure. And we touched on, in the questions up front, we touched on some of this. So I'll just try to tie this up with the bow a little bit. That, as the journey changes, there are going to be risk. I think we're already seeing referral traffic from Google has declined because there's more information provided up front, so there's less click through to your site. So understanding what the risks are to your brand, and we probably prefer to say opportunity around traffic and brand opinions, like understanding that the opinions are going to be shaped in some of the responses is important. I think Mike mentioned earlier, the responses are not all homogeneous. Google search primarily is the targeting factor is geo. In this new experience, it's going to be, the results are going to be much more consultative, but they're also the prompts will indicate where the buyer is in the journey. So, and theoretically, the responses are going to be more targeted, but you still have to understand how your brand's going to be represented in those responses, what things the LLM has trained on that's going to come forward in the response and description of your product. in brand is an important thing to consider. You develop and implement strategies for how you LLMs are represented in your brand, and Bart will talk a little more about that as we transition to LLMO. And but as we were talking about earlier, there's a broader conversation. I think so much, in marketing organizations, we spend a lot of time looking at our consumers, synthesizing third-party research, call center research, social sentiment, et cetera, to get a comprehensive view of how people think about your product. LLMs will do that, and they're doing that. They're training on that and doing that instantaneously. So it's going to be increasingly important, and probably the most important thing is understanding the full conversation. There is the information that we put out as marketers, and there's the information that consumers want when they want to make a decision, and that's not always a one-to-one relationship. That's why there is Reddit. That's why there is Facebook chats on your product, et cetera. So understanding that and responding to that's going to be very important, and understanding how that's changing over time is going to be incredibly important. And at the end of the day, there will be a change in how we think about brand engagement moving forward. And by that I mean more and more of the selling of our products and services will occur in someone else's environment. So understanding what that journey looks like and trying to influence it's going to be incredibly important.
Yeah, hey Jarvis, this is actually huge. We see a lot of people now, going with tools, and they don't understand the structure, the importance of brands. So everything you're citing here is the foundational stuff that I think a lot of people are forgetting. Just because we have these incredible tools doesn't mean we get rid of our base knowledge. In fact, having the base knowledge actually makes us even stronger. Great point.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, 100%. As Mike mentioned, I'll just do a quick this is the product that Revere is currently testing in beta. It allows you to get an understanding of brand representation within the LLMs, multiple LLMs, through a multi-prompt approach. You see things like brand index score, which is most akin to a propensity to recommend. It's a combination of visibility and sentiment, as well as how your brand ranks versus competitors. Key also is identification of sources. Where are the LLMs going to get information, and that differs by category. So understanding where you should be focusing your efforts on content. We can certainly, if you want to learn more about that, reach out to us, and we'll happy to do a demo, et cetera, for you on the Luminaire product. Finally, and Bart, you can go to the next slide. We wrote a paper about a lot of this change. Some of you may have seen it. It was in HBR, but we talked about this change and how it's affecting the implications are for marketers. But one of the key things coming out of it is this aspect of LLMO, which is how do you start to optimize your content and optimize your presence within the LLMs. Bart will take us through, give you sort of hands-on. I could talk a lot of theory, but Bart can actually talk to you as a practitioner. I'd also give a shout out to Rosemary Briscoe, who I think is on the call as well, who's also published quite a bit on this topic as well. But I think, this is an emerging capability. It's the idea of how the LLMs, what data the LLMs are training on, what content they're tending to prefer, and how do you take advantage of that to make sure that you minimize the hallucination risk so that the data is not wrong about you, but also maximize the exposure. So with that, I will turn it over to Bart.
Thank you, Jarvis. So before I play this very scary video, I want to say that first of all, I'm happy to be here. I was tracking machine learning and AI at Google for a while. And I remember being on a stage in Vegas in 2016 with a slide that by 2024, Google's main product will be AI. And I was booed by the audience. Now, everyone thought that I'm some crazy visionary when it came from Google's conversation and announcements. So what we see here, and I'll show you how Google search is evolving, because this is one of the prototypes that was live for a year on some of the product queries. We are looking at a moment. I just want you to look at that through that lens of Google going after ad revenue that's going to go outside of transactional queries. So please just have in mind that Google AIO, Google SG, and all these other products are very heavily focused on spreading out ad revenue throughout all of the stages of the user journey. So if I'm searching today how to deal with anxiety, how to lose weight, they know where I might end up through my follow-up queries or through some of the details. So they might know already what to advertise with a good percentage. So if you look at Google AIO, now it's very much stripped down from all the features, but this is a real Google product that was live for a year. Wanted to show you this video on a query Apple Watch. This is from a publicly available Google search. And this is how search already looks like, but this is where it's going. So I'm going to play the video and go over this. So I searched for Apple Watch. Let me go back. So you can see a snippet of text on top. That's Google SG. But then if you look at the options, the search, and just let me quickly show you these follow-up questions at the very bottom. Sorry, this video. So if you look at that from the first conversational query, these questions are designed to get you through multiple paths but to one place and place of purchase in a way where you cannot really leave Google. So they have a very in-depth knowledge of how your journey looked like. So once Google gets this data, this is a very strong weapon against Amazon or any other players because they know whole psychology. And that's actually the startup that I have in this space with mapping user journeys, because seeing that I got terrified. But let's go through the video. So you pick Apple Watch you like. You go and you select case size, you select options, band size, stuff like that. So look at that. The rankings here are basically made on either interactions or price, shipping, stuff like that. You've got all of the reviews from all around the internet from Merchant Center, and that's how Google wants to fight Amazon with their review base. But this is just the beginning. If you scroll down, and this is focused on user journeys, please remember that. And the very important phase is validate. So we have a few players. We've got Microsoft, we've got Google, and we've got Reddit, and we've got OpenAI. Reddit is one of the most popular players now because they have depth and dimensions of what people actually want that SEO content and like old school way of marketing doesn't. So if you search for electric SUV, you will have data about only Tesla and Ford having access to Tesla charger infrastructure on Reddit, but this information very often is not available on any car review websites. That's why Reddit is ranking for everything now and has more search visibility than any social media. So you can see that here, that validates part of the user journey embedded in search, so Google can see how we interact with that and further optimize. But again, this doesn't stop here. We've got some of the reviews. We've got more options. We've got similar products. But if it's not enough, we've also have used. So this is all based on Google's, I think with Google was publishing that for years, but it was not really very popular, on years of Google's research on how many steps do we need to have, how many interactions do we need to have with a brand, the marketing rule of 7 and so on. So if you look at that, this is a real SERP. It wasn't $5 million to build this whole infrastructure. This was showing up for 97% of e-commerce queries a few months ago before the AIO rollout. But moving forward from that, this is from April this year. We see unprecedented growth of conversational queries that are not reported in any SEO tools. So if you use Ahrefs, SEMrush, whatever your SEO toolset is, you will optimize for queries like Apple Watch, but you will skip all of the queries that lead for a person to choose that. And the purchasing decision doesn't happen on a stage of Apple Watch, obviously. It happens way, way earlier in the game. And that's something that both me and Mike and Travis are trying to solve with both approach of tracking these conversational queries and these intents and sentiments throughout LLMs, but also mapping these user journeys outside of your website, because user journey within your website, I believe, is not really a user journey. It starts on Reddit, it starts on YouTube, it starts somewhere else depending on the product. So we see a massive growth of these longer queries, and we have data in one of my R&D teams in one of the companies, very, very deep data on no reporting from both Google and Bing. And this is a little bit of a war between these two players. They don't want to report that, they want to show any data to us, because whoever gets to monetize these AI queries will be in a very good place. So this is a simplification because we only have a few minutes. Usually this is for me like 1.5 hours, but there are 3 pillars. So one is deep intent, so deeply understanding what I mean by a query. And I'll show an example. The second aspect is engagement. So most SEOs are still obsessed about like content and links. We have too much of that on the web, and Googlers and people from Microsoft, and my team sits on Microsoft advisory board, is very, very clear. We don't need more content. We need more answers. We need more engagement. And that's a different problem than optimizing something for a keyword. That's something we're going to tackle. The third one I won't touch because I can go too deep into that is technical excellence. The one problem that we have with NVIDIA chips showing that very clearly is resources. And if your website is very heavy for rendering services at both Microsoft and Google, you will have challenges. So getting from content to answers, and this is my favorite example of what is Temu. This query has millions of searches a year. Time.com is always showing up #1, and we tracked it with Google AIO with my startup as well, ziptie.dev. Mike, if you can maybe paste it in the chat. If you want to track Google AIOs, we've got a tool for that. But what that means is Time.com ranks #1 for what is Temu. This is their #1 keyword driving traffic to a publisher website living off of keywords, but they never showed up in Google AIO. And I'm going to show you why that is. So if we look at what is Temu, and if we fall in love with the customer, with the client, with the visitor, the short intent is a definition, and that's a featured snippet we know for years, or any form of that. But what Google has done is, based on millions or billions of interactions, they know that if you search for what is Temu, you maybe download a weird app that has some features that you're not sure about. And you're thinking, can I add my credit card? Is it safe? Why is it so cheap? Is it ethical? Is there a lawsuit? And all these other questions. And these change not only in context, but these change in time. So in a month, or even today, if you search for what is Temu, you will have data that talks to current events. So tracking that and knowing what to talk about and which of these questions need freshness is a whole new ecosystem that both SEMrush, Google Search Console, and Ahrefs are not going to help you out with. But that's the core of the problem. And I wanted to have something you can touch on and something you can feel to some of the questions, how to optimize. I'll urge you and give you 10 seconds to read this paragraph and come up with your own ideas, because I think we're also in the era where people don't want to be told what to do and what to think, of why this answer to what is Temu and how does it work wasn't picked up by Google. Mike, you can cue some elevator music for like 10 seconds.
The Jeopardy music, how about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
really.
Anyone has any idea? Because I don't want to be, I can talk a lot about this, but I wanted to see how you look at it yourself. Can Google know the answer clearly on a scale of billions of searches from this fragment of text at time.com? Come on, folks, you need to have a theory, at least one.
I have a question. How do we know that what Time Magazine is writing isn't AI generated and based on the same set of information that what Google is using?
That's a good question. I believe it's not fully relevant, because a lot of content now is written by AI, and there is an update at Google that was going after this. But with the new AI, with agents, with multi-staged content, I write content now just to play with this. That's better than my own articles. But it doesn't take one prompt. It takes a chain of different logics, hydration from the external data source, and so on. But I would rephrase that question mark. Is this content from AI answering the question better than what's on the web? Because that's, I think, where you're asking with this. Because we have this imagination, and Mike can tell you, when I hear AI content, my skin crawls because I hate it. But I also, was aware of that. It's just something we got used to with the first chat GPTs and how people use it for like spam and SEO and like mass content creation. But for example, as one of the cases, we use it for Reddit marketing, where we have legal documents, we have a lot of legal aspects for one of the insurance company. So when we create an answer, we can have AI, for example, rephrase it to tone of voice and check the legal aspects if we're not breaking any laws. So there are multiple ways of creating AI content, and these are just 2 dimensions of thousands. But going back to this, do you have any idea of why Google didn't pick this up? Because I strongly believe that if you form it yourself, you will see that within a second later on.
Give us the answer, Bart.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I was really trying to get something. Okay. So
let me give you a try.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Let me give you a try. So this is Mark saying.
I love it.
Basically, the way I see Google accumulate a lot of content nowadays, and to the question you asked, intent, right? They already have a lot of inquiry about when they search this term. So Google can basically find out the top intent around this particular question, and just find the article that basically best address those intent, and then list that article as the top article to answer. So it's basically you already lay out the strategy for Google, so it's easy for me to guess that's how Google will do. And a couple months ago, I actually bet quite heavily into Google because I thought Google had tons of proprietary data, just similar to Reddit, and that's the key of what they're going to successful in the long run too. So that's my answer.
100%. They have the most votes on the content on the web because content is useless, as you said, because we don't know if it's AI generated, if it's engaged. So that's what Google has, and that's why we're betting on Google. To answer this question quickly, because Mike gives me a look, it's not an answer. So Google has an algo. They use ChatGPT. Please keep it between us. GPT-3 to retrieve information, most likely coming from our research. So they need a quick answer. What is Temu? So you need a snippet of text. Temu is a Chinese giant selling, this is not here. We need an answer. And we're so used to creating content that talks about very often nothing that we are lost in, what is Temu? Why is it so cheap? What does it sell? Even that is not really tackled here. So it's an editorial content you can read with a coffee on a Sunday, but it's not search. It's not an answer. But let me move forward to Mike's slide. So just maybe to wrap this up very quickly, looking at that, if you structure your content correctly, it's not only, and again, this is a longer topic about answering this question, it's about answering two next questions, because if I will get an info, what is Temu from time.com, I'll press back button to Google, giving a very bad signal to time.com, and I'll ask my follow-up questions. So we're competing now with Google AIO, and we have to fall in love enough with our clients, with our customers, with our visitors to predict that, to be able to give them that next step. That's the real engagement. And in a short, concise way, without editorial content in search.
So with that, let us bring things home. So throughout this conversations, there's a couple things that we talked about. One is consumers are going to rapidly move towards these LLMs as a way to discover your brands and actually, over time, purchase goods. LLMs are going to be the next big influencers of purchase decisions. Agents are coming sooner than you think. And that's going to actually entirely change the customer journey again. And the biggest thing is marketers and sellers that act today are going to have strategic advantage over their competitors, but they do need to act. We are super thankful to have this conversation with you all. Just in terms of next steps, I encourage you to reach out to any of us, myself, Jarvis, or Bart. We're happy to have a discussion about the space and help with education and learning. Those conversations are great for us as well. We also offer LLM readiness assessments and opportunity roadmaps. So how are your brands presented by these LLMs, and what should you go do about it? Also large language model optimization services. And then also we have Brand Lumineer Beta on a select basis for those that are interested. So really encourage you all to reach out to us. Love to have the conversation, love to form the relationships. And really appreciate the time with you all. And we can take Q&A now.
Awesome.
And I just wanted to mark that this should be review-AI. Mike, we missed one on the slide. So please don't go to review.com. We don't know what that is.
One more aspect AI.com.
One more aspect we can help you with, and I saw this conversation in the chat as well, is we not only have a startup that now is getting after the first round in the user journey space outside of Google based on all of this data, but also working with Reddit data and real engagement from humans. So if you're looking into Reddit, we can also hop on a call. We work directly with Reddit to help you out, get in there. But I would love to go to questions as well. So let's see if we have any.
Yeah, I mean, the chat is on fire here. So there's comments and questions built in here. One, I just want to make sure that we got to, I think it was somebody was saying, I'm building 2 websites right now. Like, what can I do right now? And keeping with sort of the Sammy, as Rob always says, like, what can you do at 9:05 when you get off this session? And when you think about something that's so future oriented, so big, like we talked about today, what can we be doing to future-proof our analytics, our data, our measurement? We talked about that a little bit, but what can we literally be doing if we're building a new website today so that we're making sure we're future-proof? And I know you said you were going to touch on that, Bart. I just want to circle back to Kathleen and see if she felt like we got what was needed there.
I can quickly touch on one more thing. So I would look into, and I'm going to be very quick with that, I hope, is I would first of all build it with engagement tracking in mind, and not engagement tracking as you see time on page, bounce rate, but scroll depth, a lot of metrics like back to search, tracking back buttons, refresh rates. Google is already reporting a lot of that in Cracks data, so Chrome analytics, like data from Chrome. So Google is obsessed with this, and now there's some leaks that 70 to 80% of ranking factors at Google come from engagement. So I would look into that, and how to do it is shifting away from the SEO space of keywords to, looking how people talk about something on Reddit. This is actually something I'm passionate about, and going deeper into answering these questions. But it's a broader question. I hope what I wrote in the chat and that can help out.
So isn't a big part of this, Bart, structuring content based on user intent?
Yes, it's user intent and personas and what emotions they have, what stages of the user journey they need to have. So we need to understand that we need to win with product discovery and not product ranking, because we're all obsessed. If we're selling Apple Watches, I want to rank for Apple Watch. I don't believe it's fully marketing. I believe that if I'm searching for a best watch for runners, that's when I need to see what you're selling so I can enter this conversation. And that's what Google AIO, Google SG, Bing GSE, Bing AI, all of these, they go after this because this is not monetized yet, but there's a lot of revenue to be made from understanding how to retrieve your users kind of a step before they find your brand, find a different brand.
Right. Another question we had a little while ago too that I think really goes to the heart of what Sammy is, right, with sales and marketing, interaction. Susan asked about how this changes. We've got to really integrate customer experience, service, success, like it's all got to come together. And then how does this impact how marketing and sales teams work together? Because this is very different from today's models. And we've had a lot of chat about, SDR models being blown up and, vendors in that area, what their future might look like. So any thoughts on that sales and marketing interaction, particularly maybe in like B2B or complex selling environments?
Mike, do you want to take this or should I?
You can if you want.
We have to dissect it. So Pam, for example, when I look at B2B sales, Reddit became a factor. So we work with one of the brands from, we work now, 90% of the work we do is for VCs. So there are 4 big players knowing about this problem and venture capital. So what happens very much now is the VC would come over and say, we have this startup dealing with this Microsoft's implementation part. There is no search volume. How do we market? And it came to the fact where we can sell a $200,000 service, $200,000 service with one Reddit conversation that goes in depth into the features. And there is no way of doing that via blog. There is no way of doing that via ads because there is no search demand. So it's all shifting, and it's basically finding, again, that user journey, how people find out about that problem. And whenever that happens, is it YouTube, is it Reddit? Nowadays, it's very often Reddit, but anywhere that happens, be in that very spot. I think it's also a moment when social media kind of become very, very much dead when it comes to real engagement with the brand. So it's shifting into conversations and very hyper-personalized content for B2B and B2C.
That's great. Well, we're
Yeah,
about 2
Bob
minutes.
just made
Oh,
Bob just
sorry.
made the point that sales and marketing are going to get much, much more integrated, and there's going to be one position over both of them. I
Yeah.
think that's truly the case.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of already happening anyway, even without these kind of dynamics.
Yeah.
So we're about 2 minutes before the top of the hour. Rob, let me hand it back to you to close us out. Why don't you leave this slide up for just a second so if people want to jot down your contact information. You guys are super accessible, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from a lot of the SAMI members. Rob,
Yeah,
over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. Jarvis, Mike, and Bart, we host a lot of sessions. This is fabulous. And as Pam mentioned, the number of questions, the quality of the questions has been terrific. As I mentioned, we'll be getting this up. When I do the video edit, I'll get the URL right. So I'll take care of that. Revere is a very sacred name here in Boston for some historical reasons. So I think like a lot of sessions, Pam mentioned, at 9:05, what can we do? And you actually gave everybody a lot of stuff to do. And this clearly upends, and I was looking at some other comments, upends the org chart in some respects. The roles that we have and what people are doing become a really big deal. So anyways, as we get into the close, a couple things I want to mention. The recording will be up. You'll be able to see all of this and replay this. I think this is one session that's worth watching multiple times. So we'll be doing some binge watching on this one. So, and speaking of sessions, just a quick note, if you enjoyed this, we've got a couple of terrific sessions coming up. October 17th, the Gobbledy Trap, fixed messaging malpractice to transform marketing and sales. Jared Blank is on here. If you haven't seen Jared speak, Jared's going to be terrific. Again, it's not just the topic we covered today, but some of the messaging stuff, the base stuff, and Jarvis mentioned this, the base stuff still matters. It's a combination of these newer technologies with basically what you've done historically in the foundational stuff that's going to make you more powerful. And then on November 21st, with the Art of Nearbound, leveraging ecosystem-led growth with Jill Rowley, yet another powerful session. So again, giving you folks the tools to go out there, as we mentioned, it's a competitive marketplace and you need the tools. If you lay back, you're going to be toast. Okay. And at the end of the day, this is going to be critical stuff. So to the team, for all of you who joined us today, got up early, and especially our West Coast brothers, thank you very much. It's early. So Jarvis, you can have that third cup of coffee in a few minutes. We want to say thank you. For those of you who joined from all over the country and sometimes all over the world these days, thank you as much. So again, on behalf of Sammy and the whole EC at Sammy, thank you very much for joining us today.